A lot of the definitions always often talk about that ability to be vulnerable. And actually, it's that vulnerability that's quite hard for us to demonstrate, especially, and this is a bit of, especially as we are social creatures. So we have an inherent need to belong. We have an absolute inherent need to belong. And it's that thought process, it's what's generated inside that makes a massive difference to how people will perceive us from a trustworthy perspective. So I guess for me, trust is an outcome, not an input. So there's some things we can do to build that trust and generate it, but it's an output, not an input. So when someone says, and I'm going to use my team as an example, I was just talking to Phil about this a little bit before. When someone says, I trust you, in my head, that's almost not enough. It's actually when they demonstrate all of the things of that vulnerability, absolutely, as you say, that vulnerability, that's demonstrating that they actually do trust you rather than using the words. It's really important to do that first bit. So in the tool, it's called ritual and cliche. I call it small talk. But you have to do that small talk. You absolutely have to do that small talk to allow people to start to feel a little bit comfortable. And it's the easy stuff, so I don't have to do any disclosure. This is the mistake that I made. So I got given this new team, but I hadn't met any of them. But I came in as the leader, the head of facilitation and delivery, and I started telling them what we needed to do and how to build ourselves and start to create this small business mentality. And they went, yes, boss. Yes, boss. Nothing changed. I asked them to be open and honest with me about how we can change things, and everybody suddenly became mute because I hadn't done the stuff that I needed to do around here by just getting them to feel comfortable. And I promise you, even though I was supposed to know this stuff, it took me 3 months to work it out. And before that point, I started judging them and started going, they're rubbish. But actually, I hadn't done what I needed to do to make them feel comfortable. And that live online environment made it even more difficult because we don't have, I don't know about you, we don't have those ad hoc water cooler conversations as much as we used to. That makes a massive difference to people. I've just started going back into the office and it's amazing. On my first day, I had 4 people going, do you want to grab a coffee? I was like, especially if they're paying. Yeah, of course, let's go. But I'd never drunk so much coffee in one day, and it was just catching up. I'd never drunk so much coffee, but we didn't talk about anything to do with work. They were like, how's Ray, my daughter? And there's people I hadn't seen for 2.5 years. Oh my word, how are you? It's pretty good. Oh, I've gone high pitch again, but yeah, no, how are you? It's great to see you. How's things? How did you find the commute? That was the second thing they said. How did you find it? I was really quiet. Oh yeah, same for me. Easy stuff. That ritual and cliche stuff, that small talk, don't underestimate it. It's really important. Really, really important. My daughter, who's 11, has never read it, but she goes, my dad's written a book. She does still go, my dad used to be a dancer. So it's a bit of a toss-up, depending on who she's talking to. Adults, my dad's written a book. People her own age, my dad was a dancer. And then she doesn't let me dance. But anyway, that's that, ever. But there's that thing around, right, so, what do they value the most? What's really, really important to them? And you can't find that stuff out unless they feel able to talk to you about it. Does that kind of resonate and make sense? Do you see that in your own life sometimes with other people? So that bit that makes you go, oh, that person's really interested?
And I think it's really important then if somebody tells you something about yourself that you remember. So, if you don't say, how's your husband, you say, how's Andrew doing?
Nice.
Like, noted that. And, that's just all part of building that relationship.
Yeah, and again, some people can do that really naturally. So my old business partner, Elizabeth, was amazing at it. I'm in awe. So we used to do a load of work in education. You'd go to school once every 3 or 4 years. So we'd be back at school 4 years later, and someone would be walking down the corridor. And she'd go, oh, hi, Elaine, how are you? And this woman would talk, how did you remember that? And Elizabeth would go, and I know you were moving house. And I'm like, huh? And I'm going, yeah, hi, Elaine. And Elizabeth, after Elaine's walked away, went, you had no idea who that was, did you? And I was like, not a Scooby. But you might have to write it down to begin with to get that information until it becomes habit. So I genuinely now know from my team, so my team's 14 strong, I now know all that social stuff about relationships and, you know, what's going on, but I could tell you for at least 12 of them absolutely what they value the most. And it's amazing the level of trust that we now have compared to what was like 12 months ago when everything was fine, and it clearly wasn't.
Can you repeat the process, or is the process dead?
Right, it's a great question. My answer, my view is, and this, if you get it wrong, you get withdrawal. So people just back off. For me, and I've had this in the team, you have to start again. I'm going to nick a Ken Robinson phrase. It's dormant, not dead. It's dormant, not dead. So actually, you push them out and they go to withdrawal and they just shut down. And I've seen this. And they just go, yeah, whatever you say. Whatever you say. And what happens is sometimes when you're really passionate about something, you lose a little bit of self-control and I do this all the time. You talk with emotion and you get so passionate that people go, well, you're just not listening. So I withdraw. Honestly, it's happening to me right now because I don't feel listened to. Yeah, I'm withdrawing and I'm just going, yeah, whatever. Do something else. But if someone was to go to you, right, flipping heck, I've noticed Martin is totally withdrawn here. I need to build it up again. You don't build it up by going, come on, tell me what you're really thinking because I don't trust you. You go, Martin, how was your weekend? Genuinely, what's the weather like where you are? But I know it sounds crazy, but you have to do it because at the moment, I have no trust for you whatsoever.
Instantly, or do you set it up with them?
Oh yeah, no, it's not like what's the weather like where you are? Sorry, yeah, that's no, because this is the thing, right? What happens when you break that trust is that person has an emotional response. Yeah, they have from a brain chemistry perspective, they call it an amygdala hijack, where they just see red. And literally the withdrawal thing, the shutters come down. And actually, you need to let them go away just to reset. And you probably need it too, because you're in that, you both need time. This is a bit of neuroscience. It's more likely to be how their brain is wired. So it's funny, there's somebody in my team that goes, there's, you know, all these tools, these behavioral tools, right? We all like a colour, right? So most of them are colours. There's reds, greens, blues, yellows. Well, Insights, Bolton, Prism, the one that but they all pick the same colours. It's really confusing. But Insights, let's go with Insights, right? This person is Insights red. I'm really direct. Yeah, I'm really direct. I don't like the waffle. I don't like the... do you know what it is? Do you know what we found out in the space of a year? It's massive, massive insecurity. So I use that redness to defend what I'm really doing. So actually, you trying to get that person to open up is actually quite threatening and quite difficult. Does that make sense? So the people that I actually get into quite early, what's really important to you? Just tell me. What do you need from me? What's really important to you? Because actually that's that bit. They're going, I can do that. And they're telling you more about how they feel and what's really important to them, but they don't think they're doing that level of disclosure. Yeah? But just think about, how do I build that up? And it does take a bit of time. It does take a bit of time. It's funny, when we go and do offsites, when I used to go and do offsites with senior teams, my job was to get them from here to here in 2 days. And all of that stuff that we used to do, you know, when in the good old days when you used to do loads of experiential learning, you can get a team from here to here in a day if you do some really great, because it just brings it all out. People stop, they can't put the barriers up and they can't hide. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. But you just get to see teams operating so much better when there's that level of trust. But it's easy to break, but it's beautiful when you build it. Does that kind of resonate with people a little bit?